Guys, welcome back to the ALGS channel. Hope you guys are all doing well and having a great day so far. We have got a good bit to dive into and discuss in today's video regarding some roster updates in the North American LCQ teams that are going to be battling it out literally just this weekend. Also, we got to talk about some roster changes happening in the EMEA scene. Also, we got to talk about some people supposedly hanging it up and quitting and then deciding to delete the tweets. I don't really know if they're quitting or not. Also, we got to talk about some zone drama, some statistical evidence drama of how Respawn used to do things, and then it seems like they suddenly switched things up right before the LAN event, kind of screwed over some teams. We'll talk about all of that and much more in today's video. So make sure to like the video if you guys do want to stay up to date, all things Apex Legends esports related. Subscribe to the channel while you're at it and comment down below as well. Without further ado, folks, let's go ahead and dive right into this. First thing I wanted to make mention of, Vex Gaming, the team obviously known for contesting TSM over at Lava Siphon, has announced their release of Tyler FPS. That guy's going to be moving on because they said it became clear to us that Tyler wanted to leave the team come the end of the season, and his desire not to play in the upcoming last chance qualifier. We felt that this was the best move to ensure the rest of the roster was not left without a chance at championships. Therefore, we have agreed to restructure the buyout of his contract. Tyler's been released from Vex Gaming, no longer obligated to any of these deliverables anymore. Tyler also retweeted saying, had an amazing year one with the boys, some good memories, we did a lot together in EU, didn't get the results that we wanted on LAN, so much love and respect for the boys and the coach, wish nothing but the best for them, see ya in Birmingham. Also wanted to mention Element 6, another team making a little bit of a roster change. People actually seem to feel like this was maybe not the move for them. They announced their release of Pedro Vega, which is kind 4 from their Apex Legends roster. Our team remains committed to winning champs, and we believe that this is in the best interest of our collective mission. We wish him all the best in his future endeavors and consider him one of the most promising talents within the scene. Thank you for understanding and continued support. Element 6, you can see the comments like Exit Nocturnal, LOL. You can see Complexity, Kimchi Lee, like, everybody's like commenting like, what is going on? Why this? Why? It makes no sense at all. So interested to see if you guys agree with that roster update, though. Well, it's not even updated yet, just other than the fact that they dropped him. Interested to see what you guys have to say. Also wanted to mention, thank you to Lid Tank for tagging me in this over on Twitter. This was Go Next Esports team player Slab. He had posted, I remember, not word for word, but basically something along the lines that he was going to be moving on, and that I think he wasn't going to play the LCQ, and that he would be back to competitive eventually. Obviously, they had a rough time at the at the Split 2 playoffs, but I didn't think they played that bad. And I was kind of confused as to why, you would have that, position and then move on. However, this is what they had to say. And then shortly after, they delete the tweet. So not sure if they decided to not quit or what exactly is going on, but nonetheless, interested to see what you guys have to say. Also, the big one, the North American big voice for LCQ. You guys know, as of like 2 videos ago, we posted that Wildcard has moved on from the roster of Albrelelli, Madness, Shuby. Shortly after that, you thought they were still going to be playing the LCQ together because that's what Madness had posted. Well, shortly after that, Albrelelli was released from this roster, or at least according to Madness. Madness posted that they were not going to be playing with Albrelelli any longer. Albrelelli did not really address it on his Twitter, at least at the time of the making the video. I'm not sure if he has so, ever since then. I've not seen anything, but Albrelelli obviously not playing with Shuby and Madness anymore. Well, who's going to be their new third? Competitive Apex has actually found and spotted and posted that they were found playing with Keon. Keon, obviously former Sentinels guy who was just recently dropped right before Split 2 playoffs began. RKN was on the desk during that week, and Keon was his teammate. Well, Keon, obviously one of the biggest valuable players right now that is on the market for pickup. And he had actually posted, this is where some of the confusion came down. So Keon had posted a couple of days ago that he had signed a contract. People thought, okay, Keon's getting signed maybe to Furia. I think this is right after Furia had basically announced that his Watson was no longer going to be competing. People thought, oh, what if Keon's going to Furia? They're going to redo the dynamic over at Furia, not replace him with a mouse and keyboard player. This might make a little bit of sense, but obviously it was way too early to tell. Well, obviously people thought he had really signed a contract. You can see the comments, just like that. Oh, here we go, that a boy. So this actually turned out to be a little bit of a troll. Well, at least according to Keon, he retweeted or actually commented saying that he was just simply playing. Now that we know that that's off the table, this is actually more likely that he is going to be teaming with Madness and Shuby coming in this next LCQ, because you would have to assume that if he did sign a contract, then maybe all 3 of them signed a contract if they're going together. Considering that seems to be fake, he's probably going to be playing with this new team stability they call themselves, which is former Wildcard minus Albrelelli. Interested to see what you guys have to say. Also wanted to jump into some drama regarding the pro players not happy with some statistical evidence that maybe Respawn has changed some things right before the LAN event happened. So according to this graph, you could see Apex Legends status posted a lot of the ring endings that you saw at the playoffs here in London this last weekend. Well, one thing I noticed, and I recorded this like 3 times already, and then like, you know, I just didn't like the way I was talking, so I decided to redo it. Where in the world, I said this the first time too, before I even read the comments, like this goes to show you, I'm finally starting to pick up on some of the competitive, you know, aspects of this game, because I probably wouldn't have caught this to begin with. But where in the world are the North zones? I did notice that, but I was like, maybe it's not that bad. You know, it's still kind of spread out, right? But no lightning rod zone, no ending like at all of the wall, nothing up here in the north side. And of course, you know, Imperial How would be a little upset with that, considering that he is a team that lands at the wall. So they've got to rotate quite often way across the map. That's fair play, right? He also says, where in the world are the zones, are the north zones on Storm Point? But another thing that he didn't mention, if you look at this World's Edge map, you may say, well, let me see if I can shrink this down so you can see what I'm seeing here. You may say, okay, this looks somewhat better, right? Where are the middle zones? Like, where's the monument zones at? Where are the fragment zones at? However, one thing you need to know is that most of these zones in the north were not here after day 1, day 2. I think maybe it was just day 1, maybe it was day 1 and day 2, maybe it was day 1, day 2, day 3. Can't exactly remember, but RKN had actually made a post saying that if you see this, this is actually World's Edge zones. And honestly, it was pretty much this minus all these top ones, right? It was all pretty much the lower zones. And of course, you know, RKN would comment on Alberlet or Imperial House saying, here we have how gracefully ignoring the fact that World's Edge zones are bad as well, because he lands at Lava Siphon. So you can see that the World's Edge zones really favored TSM in this last playoff tournament. However, like I said, it wasn't until the final days where these north ones started to pop up. If you remember day 1, day 2, it was pretty much mostly all the bottom right here. So it was really, really, really bad. RKN had actually made a retweet of this. I want to say he deleted it because I went back on his page and I could not find it anywhere. And it originally said, yeah, this is fair. It kind of seemed like, you know, oh, like, you know, Respawn's really gracing TSM with these zones. You know, maybe it's, you know, they want to try to get TSM to win because the fans really love to see TSM win. He did eventually change and edit that tweet, and now I think he deleted the tweet because I didn't see it on his page at all. Nonetheless, though, worth mentioning that, you know, he makes a great point. Where in the world are these consistencies lying, and where are these zones in the north for Storm Point? Kind of crazy that you didn't get a single one all weekend with all the games that were played. And then it's crazy how much there were southern zones over in the World's Edge map. And like I said, these little ones in the north you see were not even there until like the final day, or like day 3, I think, or something like that. So it's kind of insane. Also wanted to mention a little bit of an update regarding NRG situation. Kind of similar to the last one. We talk about zones, we talk about statistics, we talk about how likely something is to spawn there. NRG's biggest complaint this weekend was basically that the console rings were not posting or were not spawning in staging where they were landing at World's Edge. And he makes a fair point. No amount of scrims could save us from the fact. So the controversy with NRG, obviously, if you guys are not aware, they did not play scrims throughout this, you know, entire split, or at least come into LAN. They weren't doing the scrims. They felt like they weren't worth it. They felt like they were going to be giving away their secrets. You could still say that it was fair play to them because they did make top 10 or, you know, grand finals, whatever, without playing any scrims, which is pretty impressive. But I still think that they're a better team than that, and I think the scrims would have actually been beneficial to them. However, Sweet made a good point that no amount of scrims that they could have played would have saved them from the fact that the devs changed a 97% spawn rate for a beacon inside of staging that has been a thing for 2.5 years, down to 25% 2 weeks before LAN. Now, you know, a lot of people was wondering, is he just spitting this out, or is it true? Well, AJ Hawk, someone who does a lot of analysis here for ALGS, said many have seen these complaints about Sweets about staging. So let's put some numbers to the theory, or to the story. Here's a mega thread. It's actually a really good thread here about NRG. Staging previously did in fact have a 97% beacon spawn rate. So that is actually true. Sweet Dreams was counting on the fact that they were going to be getting that spawn rate of the beacon. Based on land result, it's tied for the highest in the game, by the way. So it's like literally the most likely to have that beacon spawn there. Based on the land results, staging ring console spawned at a rate of 48.4%, though, not a 25%, apparently. Now, for NRG specifically, they managed to pull a ring console 50% of the rate across 16 games. FC Destroy got it 4 out of 6 games. FaZe got it 1 out of 3 games. Start a Fight got it 1 out of 3 games. KCP got it 1 out of 3 games as well. NRG was really hurting in the finals as across 4 World's Edge games. They only got it once. NRG stats without the beacon were about an average placement of 11.3. Average placement points was about 1.5. Average kill points was about 3.1. And then average total points was about 4.6. However, NRG stats when the beacon spawned was an average placement of 8.5, placement points of 4.0, kill points of 5.6, and then average total points of 9.6. So obviously a little bit of a spike here when NRG gets that beacon, but you could argue that's going to be the case with any team. However, if you're looking at a beacon that spawns 97% of the time and it goes down to 48.4% of the time, yeah, that obviously is going to have a little bit of a trickling effect on how well your team does. So fair play, fair point. Kind of crazy that that actually happened, and I wonder if Respawn really did make an update or a tweak that changed how consistent that ring console actually spawned there. Interested to see what you guys have to say down below. Also wanted to mention that FaZe Clan, now this has been one of the biggest wonders of the world, right? PvP was a head coach over at Dark Zero. They arguably did nothing different in the finals here for Split 2 playoffs as they would have done in online, right? So PvP's coaching them. They win the North American Regional Finals. They look like the best team. You think they're not going to make a change? There's no way in the world, right? Well, somehow they decide to drop their head coach, even though they just won. They go into the LAN. They change pretty much nothing because they were already at their peak performance. They win the LAN. How screwed over do you think PvP feels knowing that the coach basically got a free vacation and, you know, practically $30,000 when they really didn't even need the coach to some degree? Like pretty much PvP had already set them on their feet. I'm not saying obviously that, you know, ZZ's not a good coach. I think obviously that's why they wanted him over there. And I do think to some degree, like, you know, they probably still use some of whatever he was saying in order to get them to win. But I also think you were also looking at one of the, you know, top rosters already. They were already coming off of a win. You would think they've got really no need to make a change. I would be so upset if I was PvP, and I felt so bad for him knowing that he didn't get his coacher's cut. He didn't get none of the benefits that he should have got, being that he was their coach. And now he's got to make a new change in finding a new roster as well. He was working with FaZe Clan. We thought that maybe FaZe would do a little bit of a switch, but they ended up signing Dan the Man, or Dan Apex, obviously. And that's why he just decided to not continue working with FaZe Clan either. So he did say he's going to be exploring all over offers before champs. But until then, we'll continue to work with LCQ teams to try to secure himself a spot. Hopefully PvP will find himself a spot. There's no way he doesn't. I mean, how do you look at such a valuable coach and drop him, and then how does he not find a spot so quickly? I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to see. Interested to see what you guys have to say. Also wanted to mention that Nano is going to be looking for one in the LCQ as soon as possible. Now it looks like a lot of people have been tagging a Sorcerer in this as well. I think Zach Mazer had kind of tagged Nano in this, so we'll see if these guys make a pretty decent squad as well. Also wanted to mention some Challenger Circuit drama just as we wrap the video up. So Pax had posted that Lagiki has a full 3 now. Rumors about Rep retiring are cap. Rep Streams is the guy that they're talking about, and to my knowledge, this is what I heard. I don't want to say for sure. I might, you know, because I'm not in these conversations for sure. But the person who sent me this, information told me that basically they had lied to this guy named Shops. You know, you can see he says, due to unfortunate events, I might be looking for a team for LCQ. I truly want to succeed, blah, blah, blah. Goes on to talk about who he is as a player. All that's great. However, he was supposedly on this team to some degree. They lied to him that there was going to be a player retiring and moving on so that he would go look for a new team. Then the guy supposedly just changes his mind so that they can get the new third without hurting this guy's feelings. And they try to make it seem like, oh, you know, I just changed my mind, blah, 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 rather than, hey, we're dropping you, or we don't want you anymore, because that would have felt like a scumbag move. Honestly, this even feels like a more scumbag move if it is true. Interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below about all the topics in today's video. Make sure to like the video if you guys did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you guys want to stay up to date all things Apex Legends esports related. And until the next time, folks, I will see you all later, Gators.